Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Now I've been playing a huge amount of Marvel Rivals, and today I wanted to give you a tier list that makes a bit more sense in terms of, I guess, being a bit more in detail, because there is something called team-ups in Marvel Rivals that makes a huge difference in games and gameplays. And I've been watching some high level gameplays and obviously pro matches or tournament matches, and this gave me more of an indicative outline of what is actually really good, really consistent, and really strong. So before we start getting into this tier list, please like, subscribe, comment for the algorithm. That is always greatly appreciated. And I hope this tier list makes sense. I hope you love it a lot. And obviously, I encourage your own opinions in the comments below, but let's get straight into it. All right. So this is the tier list here. First and foremost, I want to say that I have two S tiers. One is an S plus tier, which is sort of like leaning towards broken, but there's another tier I wanted to make called situational S tiers, and we'll get into that a bit later on. But essentially what I'm doing here is I'm saying there are characters on certain maps and just in general in a certain situation where they are very, very strong. Okay, I'm not saying that if you pick them by themselves they're going to be absolutely broken, but I think there are some characters or heroes that are really, really strong in the right scenario. But I'm going to start with who I think is the weakest, and then we'll work our way upwards. Now I'm going to start with two heroes, and this will be in the C tier, and I think there's only two heroes that I would comfortably have in the C tier. The first one would have to be Wanda. I think if you are playing in a high level match, Wanda does not serve any purpose really, besides a really crazy ultimate, but it can be stopped and it needs to be done so perfectly for it to work out that it just requires a bit too much. Her primary fire really doesn't do anything. The bubble feels really lackluster, and I think as I've been getting, I'm in Grandmaster now, I just don't feel like she is getting stronger as everyone plays more. She just gets weaker. So I'm going to have Wanda in the C tier. Next in the C tier, and this is just based off the hero being very weak at the moment. I mean, I would most probably say that Black Widow is B tier, close to C tier. I don't think she's as bad as Wanda though, so maybe I'm not going to put Black Widow in the C tier. I think if you actually are a good sniper player and you're not attended to in the backline, Black Widow can actually do a bit of work, especially against a lot of Jeff players, which you see. But really, in terms of consistency, I don't think Black Widow deserves to be anything higher than the B tier. But yeah, I'm happy with Wanda being in C and Black Widow being in the B tier. Now, one thing I did want to say is I am going to do this in order of who I think is stronger than the others, and we'll do that as the tier list goes on as well. So I'm not setting Black Widow as the strongest B tier. As we go on, we'll make some changes from left to right and go from there. Next, I'd most probably have Storm in the B tier. I don't think she's C tier. I'm actually making a one-trick Storm video at the moment. The problem with Storm is I think for someone who is meant to be in the air all the time, she feels very slow in the air. You kind of always have to be around your DPS, your damage dealers, for her aura to be effective as possible. And although her ultimate is really, really good, I just think out of other duelists that are available, she can be very, very weak in certain scenarios. And the problem is that all of the strongest duelists are hit scans generally. So that makes it even harder for Storm. So I'm going to have Storm in the B tier. Now, I'll mostly go straight into who I think is also warranted in the B tier, and that's Penny Parker. I would definitely say Penny Parker. I'd rather have a Penny Parker on my team than a Black Widow. But in the right hand, Storm can be quite good, but also she needs some good bans to come through for her to be really strong. Penny Parker, to me, feels like there's just an issue in Marvel Rivals at the moment with having tanks that don't have any type of protection. So the best tank at the moment by far is Doctor Strange. He has a shield. He can stop these bullets. And because the strongest outform or outline of damage is duelist or even a strategist that has a huge amount of damage for a healer, this is where the vanguards that don't have a shield and don't have the availability to block projectiles become inferior, like super weak, essentially. Penny Parker has some good maps, though. That is the strength of Penny Parker. I think she can really only be played on defense. I've never really seen a Penny Parker on attack do well, especially in higher tier ranks. So I'm going to have Penny Parker in the B tier. I know a lot of you think she's super broken, but when you come against like a Magneto Groot, Magneto Doctor Strange, it's very hard for Penny Parker to just do anything. So we're going to have Penny Parker in the B tier. Next, I'll most probably and unfortunately have to put Adam Warlock in the B tier. I do think Adam Warlock is most probably the strongest B tier. The reason being, Adam Warlock is most probably... first and foremost, Adam Warlock is my most favorite strategist. Okay, I love playing Adam Warlock. So it's very hard for me to put him here, but when the only time Adam Warlock is really, really good is when they're playing a super big dive comp. So when you're coming up against a Magic, a Spider-Man, a Black Panther, even a Psylocke, he's really good at wasting those divers' time, because when he heals, he also heals himself. He also has a move called Soul Bond, which makes all the DPS done actually be smaller over time, because it splits the damage throughout the team or whoever you soul bonded. I think in situations he can be good. He's definitely not a situational S tier character, and I would dare say that I think he's most probably the worst strategist at the moment, followed by maybe close to Jeff, but Jeff's ultimate is just so good and vastly superior than Adam Warlock's. And his ultimate feels a bit lackluster. I think they need to make his ultimate have everyone come back to like half HP. I think having them come back to 1 HP or just literally one hit is a bit too aggressive, a bit too harsh on him. And I can see maybe they don't want it to be too overpowered, but literally some of the times you can just ulti and the team just rushes you and it's a pointless ulti. So we're going to have Adam Warlock at the start of B tier. Also, I think I can't put him there. Most probably doesn't deserve it because I've seen some very good Loki players, but I'm going to have Squirrel Girl in the B tier. I think she sort of slots in as being a bit better than Black Widow, most probably better than Penny. She has a really, most probably not better than Penny, but she has a really weird ultimate. It was really good in certain scenarios. It just has this feel of like it can be really good or really, really bad. And I don't really like the fact that her primary fire can also just be based on being in a chokehold and doing really well there, but feel really bad in other times. So I think Squirrel Girl is a safe B. Continuing on, I think that is all I'm going to have in the B tier for now. I don't think any of these other characters deserve to be in the B tier, to be honest with you. The closest one I would say is most probably either Wolverine or Captain America, but I just can't do it because I don't think they're up to or down to the level of these B tiers that we've picked. So let's keep it at that. Let's move into the A tier. So for the A tier, I'm going to start with Captain America. Now, Captain America is most probably one of the weaker vanguards in the game. He's not bad, though. He's not bad. It's an interesting statement to say. He's the main job of a vanguard, right, is to kind of protect the line, hold the front line. That is the job of the vanguard. But with Captain America, his job specifically is to disrupt and distract the backline. So you dive in, you do your shield swing, you do your shield dash, and you sort of hold your shield up, and that's it. And that's his job. But he lacks a bit of damage. He's really good with, like, when you have a Thor, it can be a really nice comp to have the Thor Captain America, but a lot of the times I think I would just rather play a Groot or a Magneto over a Captain America. I think A tier is, I honestly think he could be B tier. I don't think he warrants, don't think he warrants being as good as a Groot, to be honest with you. I most probably put him as the highest B tier, to be honest with you. I'm very happy with this. Okay, so now we go to the A tier. I'm going to start with Groot. Now, Groot to me is a really good tank when bans happen of Vanguards. He's really good in general. He's super durable. His ultimate's actually really good because he can combo with other people like an Iron Man, even a Spider-Man. He can combo with a Psylocke, with a Namor, with a Moon Knight. There's a lot of combos that work well with Groot ult. His walls are most probably his best move or ability because the two best strategists and a lot of the strategists require line of sight to actually implement their heals. And what Groot can do, and what every Groot player is trying to do, is you're trying to wall off the Vanguard, the enemy Vanguard player, and then basically nuke them because they can't get heals. And that's why Doctor Strange is so good against the Groot, because when they wall the Groot or wall the Doctor Strange can just fly up back over the wall, and that's it, and get some heals if needed. So I think Groot is a high A tier pick. I think he's very good in scenarios where your Doctor Strange gets banned a lot. I see a lot of Groot Magneto in certain maps as well. But yeah, for me, Groot just sits in the A tier. Just a solid pick. I don't think he's overpowered in any way. And there are some really good Groot players out there as well. Coming in at the A tier, again, I would have to say, and he will be at the low end of the A tier, is Venom. Venom is... He's interesting. The problem with Venom is that he can do a whole bunch of nothing. He can dive on the back line. You're versing a Lunar Mantis. He's never going to outdamage that. And I think he needs to be played in a dive comp a lot of the time. When you have like a Venom, Magic, Black Panther, that's when he can be really good. But I don't think he's a situational S tier. His ultimate feels very weird as well. It's only there for real durability. It doesn't do a lot of damage. And I think that he just needs a bit of work, mostly in the damage side of things as a Vanguard. Although he is very mobile, very agile, he has the ability to go in and out a lot. I just think that they need to tune him up a bit, and he's definitely not better than Groot in my opinion as well. So I'm happy to have Venom in the A tier. Next, I'm going to go with the A tier. I'm going to have to put Spider-Man. Now, I think Spider-Man goes in sort of the low A tier. Spider-Man to me feels very clunky at times. He's super team, opposition team composition relevant. So if they're running like a Namor Lunar Mantis, your Spider-Man's going to have a really hard time. I think in the right hands, Spider-Man can obviously have S tier, S plus tier games. But Spider-Man, for me, it just needs a bit more love. It feels really weird when you go in, you get the web on them, you hook to them with the web, and you do your combo, and then nothing happens, and you're like, okay, I'll just web out. It's really hard. He's good into Jeff, but again, as I play in these higher ranked games, I don't see Jeff played a huge ton amount, and Jeff to me is a situational S tier because there's some maps that he's absolutely absurd on. We'll get into that a bit later. For me, Spider-Man at the moment is one of the lower A tiers and just not as good as the other duelists. All right, another A tier I would definitely say, let's have a look at here. I would definitely put Rocket in a high A tier. Yes. I think he's close to being S tier, but you just can't compare him to Lunar and Mantis, and that's the problem. Now, He is really, really, really good. I want you to understand that Rocket is actually a very good strategist. Although his heals feel quite clunky, why he's good is there's multiple reasons. One, he has an instant one-person res that is just so huge, especially in a game where picks matter a lot. Picks meaning getting like a kill and then trying to push off it. His armor packs are good. The fact that when you're versing a Groot as well, he can find angles to shoot the projectile heal to get to certain heroes that, you know, generally a healer wouldn't be able to get to is really, really strong in my opinion. He has 2 dashes, which I think are absolutely really, really amazing because some of these strategists just lack mobility, whereas he has a huge amount. You can dash up over Groot walls, sort of shoot your projectile, land back down. There's a lot of things you can do. He's really good into Hulk, I feel, as well, because Hulk really struggles at sort of chasing him down, and his his ultimate, Raccoon's ultimate, just absolutely shreds Hulk into pieces. His team up ability, which we will speak about, is absurd with what's this guy? Punisher. If I ever have a Punisher on my team and I'm playing heals and like a Luna is banned, I'm immediately going Raccoon. You stick next to your Punisher, you press your keybind for infinite ammo. If you don't know who Gale is, go watch his videos because he plays a lot of Punisher and he has, I think, a duo with him that plays Raccoon, and it's really, really strong. Raccoon is a possible situational S tier as well. I think high A tier is where I'd like to put him, just because he doesn't offer a huge amount of burst healing, which sometimes is really important in this game, but I'm very happy to have him in the high A tiers. All right, next in the A tier, I'm going to have Thor. I definitely think he's better than Spider-Man and Venom, and most probably Groot. I'd most probably say he's in between here. I'd say he's even with Groot. The reason being is because he can offer so much, but he can offer so little. At least with Groot, I'm getting these walls, I'm getting durability, but a Thor can really overextend and be punished super hard. His ultimate at times is not as consistent as a Groot. I think that in sort of like a team up scenario with Captain America, which you don't see a lot, it can be okay. It can be much better. But I don't think he's a very good solo tank either. And Groot has the ability to also be a solo tank. Even though he doesn't have a shield, his walls provide sort of a time of protection. But Thor has really none of that. His protection is go in or hold left shift or just like swing out or dash out to a place that's safe behind a wall. So for me, Thor sits above Venom. I think he definitely warrants being above Venom, but there's just times where he feels really, really bad, and there's times that he feels really, really good, and that's just because of the type of hero he is. I think he can be a viable off-tank, as in a second Vanguard, but I just, personally, when I see a Thor and they dash in, I just say on comms, melt Thor, and we all aim him, and he literally dies, and really quickly. Next, I'm going to talk about Loki. I think Loki deserves to be in front of Spider-Man because his ultimate is absolutely insane. And I'd most probably say that Loki deserves to be in front of Venom. I think this is a nice spot for Loki. The problem with Loki is that sometimes, although he's really good into dive because you can switch between your illusions, his healing isn't as consistent as others, especially when they have to sort of sit in this pile of like green and that's it. And I think Marvel Rivals is really, really big on mobility and things changing and happening really quickly. So for me, I think that Loki, although his ultimate can be insanely good as a sort of overall kit and overall hero, he just is definitely under Raccoon for me because the resurrection that Raccoon offers is way too powerful and it's just really, really strong. And he just doesn't offer as much as the other strategists. Going into the A tier again, I would most probably lean into Magneto here. Out of these tanks shown, I'm going to have to put Magneto at the top. The reason being is he can actually solo tank games. There's been a multitude of games where I've had 3 duelists, 2 strategists, and I'll go, no problem, I'll go Magneto, and he can hold his own. His ultimate is good and bad at the same time, but it offers invulnerability. It also can one-shot, which is really powerful at the right time, but his bubble can be really, really efficient if you have duelists that sort of dive. Even if you have a Hulk on your team that dives as well, chuck the bubble on them, they're even more stronger. Essentially, Hulk gets 3 bubbles because then you bubble Hulk when he goes in, then Hulk bubbles himself, and then he presses left shift and bubbles the team and himself again, which is really strong. But again, I just think Magneto is a warrantable A tier. I definitely think he's the best out of the 4 Vanguards here, in my opinion, just because projectiles are such a massive thing, and we'll get into like those duelists that are really strong at the moment. But yeah, for me, I think top of the A tier is Magneto and Rocket. That feels really good to me. And let's go on to the next one. So I want to speak about this next strategist. I would definitely say that Cloak and Dagger would likely have to go under Rocket, but very close to being in front of Rocket as well. Now, Cloak and Dagger is really interesting because it's very easy for Cloak and Dagger to heal anyone. An Iron Man in the air, super easy, automated projectiles, but I would just prefer a Rocket Raccoon because of the resurrection. And I think the resurrection is just really, really strong for Rocket players. The problem with Cloak and Dagger, I feel, is if her bubble isn't up, the dome, which gives the possibility to heal a huge amount, she becomes a bit weaker at that stage. A lot of times I'm waiting for a Cloak and Dagger to use the dome, and then I know she's a bit weaker, and then I sort of go in. However, she's just really good and all round. And A tier doesn't mean they're bad, guys. A tier means they're good. They have a nice kit, but they're just not broken. You know what I mean? And I don't think Cloak and Dagger is broken. I personally don't really like her ultimate. I feel like it definitely needs a bit more, although it can be really strong and stop a lot of things. It just feels a bit clunky to me. I don't know. That's just me personally. So I'm going to have her most probably sort of like this. I think this feels right because I really do like Magneto. I think he's a sort of hidden gem in Marvel Rivals. Next, I'll talk about someone who I think is most probably at the low tier, and that's Wolverine. I would have Wolverine here. He is super situational, but the problem is when they don't have double tanks, he becomes just so much weaker. A lot of the times he can be an annoyance, but you can play around him very easily. The problem with Wolverine is that even though you can grab a tank, and then when you do grab the tank, it's really, really strong because he does percentage health damage. A lot of people can pick around it. A lot of people can play around it. And a lot of the times you're actually missing the dash to grab someone. He is good. I don't think he is just that pick that you're just going to be looking for every time. I don't think he's also a situational S tier. Do I think he's better than Spider-Man? Most probably not, because Spider-Man is a situational play a lot of the times. But I just feel like in the right hands, Wolverine can be really good. There's one tricks out there that are absolutely insane with him, but in a tier list format, I'm just going to put him in the A tier at the lowest end. Next, I want to speak about most probably... I'm actually really, really happy with what we've got here so far, and I think a lot of these characters are going to be situational S tiers. I'm going to put Iron Fist in the A tier. Now, a lot of the times, Iron Fist is most probably, I would say, somewhere around here. The problem with Iron Fist is once he does his right click, He goes in. If you're in a good high tier match, he's easy to play around. He can be really easily killed if he just is versing mobile or like strategist, or gets sedated or gets frozen. Once that happens, he's basically dead. And those abilities, especially the sedation from Mantis, are easy to hit. I think melee characters in this game are definitely weaker than especially the ranged duelists. And that is why I would definitely say that Iron Fist isn't as strong as what I genuinely thought at the start. But for me, I think middle of A tier is warranted. Let's go into situational S tiers and then talk about the reasons why. I think no matter what, I'm going to put Jeff to start with. There are some maps in Marvel Rivals where Jeff's ultimate is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, the problem with Jeff is when you're versing heroes like Hela, Hawkeye, most probably those two, Psylocke, those three, that's when your life can get pretty tough as Jeff. Now, after in Diamond and beyond, when you're in a full Diamond lobby or higher, you get bans, and you're going to see a lot of bans come through that help Jeff out. And that's why I think he's a situational S tier. Now, there's some maps, even domination maps, convoy maps, where he just absolutely excels in each phase, in each point with his ultimate. And that's why I think he can be a situational S tier pick. I don't know exactly what the maps are, but the Spider-Man map, he's really strong on every single point because there's the cliff or the map edges right next to him everywhere. Even on the third one where you sort of go up the wooden plank, you can just chuck people off or just drop down with them. So he's really, really strong there. I think it's fair to say he's a situational S tier, but he's not bad. I think a lot of people say he's a bad strategist, and I just don't agree with that because he has one of the most broken ultimates in the game. And a lot of the time when Luna and Mantis is being played, what's everyone doing when a Mantis and Luna ults? They're staying in that ultimate. And he has one of the only, if not the second ultimate in the game, I think, that can actually counter Luna and Mantis ultimate. So he has to be a situational S tier. Another situational S tier, and I think this is very, very fair, and I'll most probably put him towards the top, is Iron Man. Now, when you watch high tier games, even pro matches, you are going to see a lot of this. Doctor Strange, Hulk, Iron Man. The team up ability is absolutely insane, really, really strong. When Iron Man gets the team up ability, he just becomes infinitely stronger. His ultimate is one of the only ultimates with Jeff that actually deplete a Luna or Mantis ultimate because it one-shots them, so it's really, really strong. So it means that the Luna and Mantis really have to look out for the Iron Man if it is available. And I think he's just really, really good at the right times. There's certain maps where he can play behind buildings and sort of get poke damage a lot. I think a lot of people think Iron Man is really, really weak. But when you see him in the hands of the right player who knows where to position themselves, he's really, really strong. His ultimate is absurd. It's one of the best in high-level gameplay for sure. The problem with Iron Man at the moment, he's a situational S tier, not just based on the team up, but also based upon what your opposition has available to them. Because a lot of times there'll be a Hela or Psylocke being played, or a Hela Hawkeye, and that's when Iron Man becomes a lot weaker. So for me, that's why I have him as a situational S tier pick. Next, I'm going to go into Black Panther. Black Panther to me is most probably up there with most probably this. Now, if you are versing a composition, and sometimes you will see this, Luna and Mantis have both been banned. Oh my God, if you are versing a one-trick Black Panther, good luck being the Cloak and Dagger, the Adam Warlock, the Jeff. You are going to die a lot. This guy, when chosen into just the right composition or just held in the right hands, is absolutely insane. If you want to spend 10 to 20 hours practicing a hero that will make you climb from like bronze to wherever, Black Panther is one of those heroes. I think he's really, really strong. I think that with the ability to just be very hard to track. It just makes him even stronger as well. And again, in the right hands, he's just super, super broken. Another situational S tier pick for me, I'm going to have to say, is Punisher. Now, he's most probably the lowest out of them all. The reason being is Punisher is a great all-round pick, but with a raccoon, he's really, really good. The team up ability is insane. I think that essentially you having infinite ammo, having a shotgun that can melt these tanks, and just playing around the rocket raccoon is really, really good. I think generally he'd be like in between the raccoon and the Magneto as an A tier pick. But again, when we're banning and when these certain picks are being taken away, it's really, really, really strong. And that's why you see a lot of players play him in high ranks, because he's just easy to use. He's the Soldier 76 essentially, or very similar to for Marvel Rivals. And I think him as a situational S tier pick is very, very fair. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Star-Lord. Now, some of you might be like, what the hell? Star-Lord isn't that good. Star-Lord is one of the most underrated duelists. Now, the reason being he's a situational S tier pick. Why he's so good is because of the team up. Him, Adam Warlock, and Mantis get this insane team up where you essentially turn into like a wrapped cocoon, I think it is, and you can come back to life after you die. This is just insane. Not only is this a free resurrection, he's got versatility, he's got the high ground, his ultimate is very strong, and again, with all the bans that are coming through, Star-Lord, you are going to see a lot of. Trust me on that. He can literally beam an Iron Man if he gets a good flank on him. His E ability is very strong. He gets to reload for free off his dash. He's a solid character. I actually thought he was a lot worse, but the more I've seen him played in high level games, he's just really consistent. Do I think he's better than Punisher? Most probably yes, in terms of non-team up abilities. I would say it looks a bit like this at the moment. But yeah, really good pick. And again, really, really strong. Definitely the lowest of these picks, I'm going to have to put Moon Knight, because Moon Knight is very map dependent. Doesn't really have crazy team up ability, because I think for memory, it's with Cloak and Dagger and Magic. And a lot of the times you don't get a Magic on your team. Sometimes you will get a Cloak and Dagger. So that's fine. But in terms of the team up abilities of what the others can have, it is the weakest. He's just very good in chokehold based maps. There is a domination map. I think it's the Hail Hydra map where he's really good on, where there's a lot of chokes. Teams come through a 6 through there, and you sort of put your ank up and you just do an incredible amount of damage. I don't think he is, like, if I put him in just like not a situational S tier, he's just a sort of high A tier. But I think on some maps, he's just absurd and really hard to play against, especially against a good player. I think this is fair to have him in a situational S tier. Again, another situational S tier is Magic. Now, I think Magic is higher than Moon Knight. She's very, very good in the right hands. She has invulnerability because she goes in her little mini portals. She's great at diving, although I feel like she lacks a bit on defense. She feels like more of an attackive diving character, really good in the backline, has a little combo, can delete strategists very, very, very quickly. And I think that she really has the ability to inflict a lot of damage, but to me, she just is a bit weird on defense. I've done some spectating VODs as well, and sometimes she can really, really struggle. So for me, I've got Magic as a situational S tier. I would mostly put her as the lowest, to be honest with you. And I would say I've got 2 more in the situational S tiers. Let's talk about one of my all-time weirdest picks, because I thought he was really bad, but I think he's just very good. Where would I put Hulk as a situational S tier? Most probably in between sort of here. Most probably like this. Hulk is insanely good in the right hands, guys. I know a lot of you think he's just a bullet sponge. I did myself. But Hulk, Doctor Strange, Iron Man combo is absurd. Now, a lot of these Hulk players, what they do is they hold on to the spacebar or their button to leap while they're hitting. So you can be hitting, then just let go of spacebar, jump, hit, hold spacebar again. And when you sort of get to half health, you just do like a 180 and you jump back and you hardly die if you know what you're doing. Good Hulk players, honestly, on certain maps are just insane. On that Spider-Man, not the Spider-Man map, sorry. I think it's Shibuya. He's really strong there. He can hold onto walls. He can play from the high ground. He can jump down. There's so much he can do. His bubbles are really, really good. His ultimate needs to be used at the right time. That's one thing bad about Hulk. He can be really, really poorly used, but he can be super, super S tier at the right times. I think you're going to see a lot of Iron Man, Hulk, and Doctor Strange matches in specific maps, and that's why it's a situational S tier. And I think that's fair. I think that is really, really fair. All right, let's get into our S plus tier. I feel like, sorry, apologies. I have one more. Namor. Now, Namor to me is definitely sitting in between Punisher and Star-Lord. I cannot stress this to you. When the enemy is playing dive, you pick Namor and you will see how much work he can do. When the enemy is trying to play Spider-Man, Black Panther, even a Psylocke, when they're just trying to like even a Magic, Namor is such a good pick. A lot of the times you're going to see Hela, Hawkeye, Psylocke being banned. They're the three main ones that you see a lot, and then Luna. Now, why Namor to me is one of my most underrated duelists is one, he has 3 turrets, one being a team up ability with a Luna who is played basically every game if not banned. She's most probably the best strategist out there with Mantis, and it's just really good synergy. Not only does he protect himself with a left shift, he protects his strategists with the turrets and his own obviously primary and secondary fire. Really strong damage. When Hela, Hawkeye is banned, and Psylocke, Namor is really, really good. He's actually also really, really good into a Star-Lord as well that needs to sort of get close at times to like get the E off. He can dodge so many abilities as well with the left shift, becoming completely invulnerable. Feels really, really good in certain scenarios. I've played Namor at certain times when certain bans come through. If you are a duelist player, please pick up Namor because I guarantee you he will win you games. The fact that the turrets can be placed on walls and on high ground is really, really strong as well. I really like Namor. His team up with Luna is really strong, especially when she doesn't get banned as well. All right, so now let's get into our S plus tier. These are the characters or heroes I think that are just absurdly good, have a very good chance of getting you picks in the team. I'm going to start with who I think is the strongest out of this bunch, and oh my lord, was I wrong about it, but Hela. A lot of the times, Diamond and above, she's going to be banned. She just has the ability to absolutely just dominate a tank player. If you ban Doctor Strange in a game and Hela is left up, good luck to your tanks. You essentially have to pick Magneto. You need some form of coverage because if you're going like solo Groot or a Thor, she's going to melt. Her headshots do a super amount of damage. Her ultimate is just annoying to verse, although I don't think it's crazy good. It's just really annoying. And to me, she's the best at the moment, no doubt about it. And next, I'll talk about who I think is most probably the second best, followed closely by the third, and I think that is Hawkeye. In the right hands, it's just so... It's so hard against a Hawkeye who is really good, guys. He can just one-shot anything he wants. If you want to dive him, he presses left shift, he goes away. It's really, really hard. And a lot of the times it kind of feels like a Widow versus Widow where you just hope you have the better Hawkeye and that your Hawkeye does a lot better than theirs and you win. But I think he's just second. I don't think he's better than Hela, but he's definitely close. He just requires a bit more skill than Hela. The reason why Hela is just really good as well is she just has to click heads, where Hawkeye has a bit, you got to lead it a bit. It's a, you know, pullback. There's a bit more to it, but still very, very strong. Next, I'm going to talk about Winter Soldier. I think this guy, him and Psylocke, I'm mostly going to have even. They do two different things, but they both do a lot of damage. I really like the ability for Winter Soldier to be able to hook in a tank, push them back, and essentially that tank is dead. But Psylocke has this ability to be so much mobile, one shot, do a huge amount of damage, and can have a much more consistent ulti. Now, the problem with Psylocke ulti, it's not really a problem, but just a lot of people are knowing to hold up their Luna or Mantis ult for her, and she basically does nothing. But I guess that can be said about any other of the ultimates as well. So it's not a bad thing. I think Psylocke is really, really good. They're very, very much on par, in my opinion. I think a good Psylocke player can be very, very deadly, and same as Winter Soldier. So I'm happy to have them sort of even, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Next, I'm going to go Doctor Strange, the best Vanguard in the game. He can poke and do his shield instantly. It's really, really powerful. His ultimate used correctly is absolutely ridiculous because of the stun effect and also the instant damage you can inflict with the combo of your max energy or just high energy charge. I think he is by far, I think he has by far one of the best non-ultimate abilities in the game, which is the portal. It's definitely top 5. It just does so much. Not only can you block enemy spawns from them getting back into a fight, you can get to instant high ground, you can get to the point instantly, you can touch or re-engage in a fight basically instantly from the portal when it's getting close to overtime. There's so many uses for the portal. He's just really, really strong. You actually do see him banned a bit in high level matches as well. So it's really, really interesting when he's not being played versus when he is. But I think when he's not being played, when someone else has a Doctor Strange and you don't, you really feel the effect of it, in my opinion. Next, last two, Luna and Mantis, both very similar. I think out of both, I'd say Luna has the better ultimate, Mantis has the better kit. Mantis is most probably higher. I'd most probably go something like this. Mantis, to me, her sedation is much easier to hit than Luna's frozen ability where you can freeze them. I like Luna's ultimate more because it has the effect of doing damage as well if you're winning the fight. But I think all in all, Mantis is better because she can actually nuke characters herself as well. You can sedate someone that's squishy. You can then damage amp yourself and just get a free headshot and they're likely to be dead. So I'm going to go with this. I think this is it. I think this feels very, very good to me. This is your tier list, guys. This is basically my Marvel Rivals tier list with situational S tier picks. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I really hope you liked what you see and what you heard. I hope it all made sense to me. I actually am really, really happy with this tier list now that I've played the game a lot more. And I think because the game has team ups, it deserves a situational S tier column. And I think that's where we're missing out a lot on because we're just sort of grading who we think is strong, but team ups matter in Marvel Rivals. They're actually very, very useful and very strong. Anyway, give this a thumbs up, subscribe, and of course comment. That'll be greatly appreciated. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for supporting as always. I'm Otis. Catch you soon.